Hey, what's up you guys? So here I am at a house and I'm gonna go check it out. Apparently the tub's been coated before and it's peeling. I've never seen it before, so I'm gonna go in, show you how I'm gonna strip it, prep it, and then reglaze it. Full process, so stay tuned. We're gonna go check this tub out right now. All right, you guys, so here's the tub. It's basically an almond tub that was coated before, so I'm just kind of feeling off real thin coat, loose material. So the first thing I do is just gonna take off the bathtub stopper. I use 60 grit sandpaper, and you're wondering, like, if you're gonna strip it, why are you sanding it? Well, I sand it because, also plug the drain, very important. I sand it to kind of open it up, because when I spray on the paint or epoxy remover from Jasco, the stripping material, or the chemicals, I want it to seep into the existing coating. It actually helps it and is much easier to strip off. So, and I will be taking off that overflow cover in a second here. But just sanding down the entire tub with 60 grit, you can go 80 grit. I like the more coarse, the better, because it's gonna be coming off anyway. So I just kind of go over it with my hand, scuff everything up really well, so that way when I spray, the material, the chemicals, have something to kind of seep into. Alright, so now it's time for the Jasco Premium Paint and Epoxy Remover. I love using the spray can on a tub only because there's not any overspray really, and it just shoots out pretty straight. It's like a foam almost, and I can just coat it over the surface. And remember, I sanded it down, so it's gonna seep into those scuffed areas, and then you're gonna let it sit for about 15 minutes and it'll start to bubble. And then you're going to be able to tell how well that coating is that's on before. If it bubbles real easily, then you know it's not a great product. If it takes maybe a few coats of Jasco, then it's probably a decent product. Here, it's probably on the lower end of quality. So just spraying it on, make sure you've got your gloves, respirator, make sure you're wearing your respirator with clean filters, and also have a fume extractor. I'll show you that in an upcoming video. My fume extractor that I have in the room with the hose, and you can see here that it's starting to bubble. This is after waiting for a little bit. Then I'm gonna go ahead and take a single edge blade and literally just scrape it. And so you're gonna see coming up, I'm going to show you the full stripping of the tub. I do cut out some parts, but I'm showing you the full stripping, and just to give you the effect that it's a lot of work. And that it definitely is something that if you're doing it, you definitely need to charge for, or if you're having it done, then you need to expect to pay more for it, because this is the dirty work. This is the dirty work that a lot of homeowners or property managers just don't want to do. So here I'm just taking a Scotch-Brite pad, or you could take even some sandpaper, and I'm just kind of cleaning up the loose areas. I kind of do this as I go, just so that way it's just a cleaner workspace. And so I'm just going through, knocking off all the loose areas, as you can see, and then I'll get right back into stripping the rest. See, I'm just kind of scraping along here, and I'll probably, usually on a bathtub, I'll probably go through about 3 or 4 blades. The single edge blades, they get a little dull as I'm scraping, and they also break depending on how some of the areas are adhered to the tub. If it's adhered or bonded really well, then sometimes the blades will break. And so I usually go through about 3 or 4 in a stripping process. So now I'm just wiping down just with some paper towel, just kind of taking off all the some more loose areas, just kind of putting everything together so I could just throw it away. Alright, so here we are. That's the strip tub, but I still got to do the front apron. I haven't stripped that yet. But you can see there's a little gloss, which tells me that whoever did it before didn't acid etch it. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up, again, all of the loose debris, all of the loose pieces, and then I'm going to go ahead and spray on the Jasco on the outside apron and scrape that off. Then I'll go ahead and do a full acid wash of the tub, which will rough it up for adhesion, which you could see the shine, and you could see the non-slip marks at the bottom. That's another indication that it was not acid washed. So now that I've got the front apron all stripped off, I'm gonna go ahead and acid wash. And I use the NAPCO Pirhana, and it's a cleaner acid etch combo. It's actually really good. And so I'm gonna go ahead, so as we're etching, it actually cleans the surface as well, which isn't common with some other etches. And so we're gonna go ahead and apply it, and then I like to brush it on. I do like how it's orange, so I can see where it is and where it's applied. Some are liquid and more clear, and it's harder to see if you've got full coverage. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this and then let it sit. Once the acid's applied and you let it sit for about 15 minutes, you're going to take water, cold water, and I like to use a Scotch-Brite to kind of scuff it as I'm just kind of loosening it up. The gel kind of dries a little bit, so I use the water to kind of loosen things up. And then I'm going to go ahead and rinse the entire tub, wipe it all down, make sure that I've got full coverage because the brush even doesn't get everything. So by using the Scotch-Brite, you're going to make sure that you get acid everywhere. Then I'm going to take some paper towel. Sometimes I'll moisten it up and I'll just wipe off the gel. And you guys, when you rub the paper towel even across the top, when it's etched, it's not smooth at all. Like, it almost stops. Whereas if you did it without being etched, you'd be able just to wipe it right away. So you can see I'm kind of pushing a little bit, have to rub it a little bit more just to even slide it down. So the tub's going to be properly etched and ready for the finish coat. Alright, so finally got it all stripped off and acid washed, and this is what it's going to look like. It's going to have dull areas, mostly dull, some shine just because of the lighting, but you can see the bottom. There's no more of the non-slip. You can tell that's a direct indication it's been acid washed. Now I'm going to tape off the fixtures. I also taped off around the perimeter of the tub. I'd like to use the tape around the perimeter of the tub just because it's easier for me to apply the masking paper and tape right over it from my paper masker. And now this is one of the most satisfying parts, is cutting around the drain and then just pulling it off. Alright, so we've got it cleaned up, sanded down, and ready for masking. I've already put down one row of paper, and I'm going to go ahead and mask this off all around. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start spraying, and here's my first coat. This is me using the Capspray HVLP Maxim 2. Just go one pass over. Sometimes I'll pass over twice, but rarely. Sometimes in the corners or flat areas. Vertically, I'm too cautious and I don't want any runs. So just kind of going over. This is a spray pattern that I like to do. I know there's some other ones where you can go completely from left to right all the way up. I just don't like to do that. And so this is how I do it. What works for me. You guys, there's so many different ways that you can do it. And when you're out on the field, you're going to see what works best for you.